Okay, now. Are you ready?
Join corner where the big boys play.
Oh, here we go, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Ask StreamYard. How is everybody doing today? I gotta say, I'm having a great morning so far. I'm excited about today's show because I think I say this every time I do this, but this is a juicy one we got for you guys today. So pretty excited about it. I'm also pretty excited about it because I'm not doing this one alone. No way. This one's way too juicy for just the Mel show. So I got my buddy Christian.
How we doing? This is going to be a lot of fun, by the way, because
this is going to be fun.
We love talking about what are we talking about today, Mel?
We're talking about whether or not we should be using pre-recorded video for our streams. And we're going to dig deep with it. We're going to talk about the different scenarios because we got this great question in our community. And hey, I was ready. I knew this question was going to come up. I knew this was going to be a hot topic because a couple of weeks ago, StreamYard released this brand new feature of being able to stream pre-recorded videos. So naturally, people are like, wait, what? That's a possibility? Why would I do that? What are some reasons I might want to do that? And so that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. So pretty stoked about it. We've got all kinds of great people tuning in with us live. Let us know where you're watching from. We always like to hear who's here and what's going on. We got Paul Harper in the house. We got G. Albert, right? We got all kinds of awesome people. Dr. Zahid Mahmood. Maymood. I love it. We also have Mike, of course, with Never Let the Machines Win. Always a loyal follower and always in the comments helping us out as well. So, Mike, super glad that you're here today for sure. So we've got all kinds of people. We got Cambodia, Vegas. We got UK. Oh, my gosh. Poland. We got all kinds of people in the house today. So, Christian, how are you today? How's it going? What's new in your world besides those really fun purple lights in the background?
Otherwise, not a whole lot, actually. Just been working on some really great content for the StreamYard community. So I got to say, I'm excited about this topic today. I like the whole idea of using this feature, but you and I both know this is a feature that you have to be careful with. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not about like, oh, well, this means that I don't have to actually go live now. You know, you don't have to go live, but it's still a feature that, you know, you want to use sparingly.
Totally.
So
I couldn't agree more. And we are totally going to talk about that. So here's the deal. If you are just now tuning in, this is our Ask StreamYard show. So what this show is that we like to feature questions that get asked from our users. And if it's a good, juicy, beefy one, then we take it and we take a deep dive on this show that we do every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So today's topic is actually a question that was posted in our group by Lestat. He says, what's the exact reason why we need to schedule a live broadcasting of a pre-recorded video? He is absolutely referencing the new feature here. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to dive deep into this topic. But before we get started, I definitely want to make sure everybody understands that that's the topic we're going to talk about today. So you can 100% post any questions you have related to the pre-recorded video feature. I would like for you to actually ask those questions. Put a Q in front of it. It helps Christian and I differentiate that versus a comment or whatnot. But we definitely want to know what your thoughts are in regards to this feature. But also, if you have a feature request or something else that's not related to this, you can absolutely reach out to us. Just send an email to contact@streamyard.com. There's actually a page even where you can fill out a form on our website. I believe it's streamyard.com/contact. And if you go there, you can actually submit your feature request. And I know that the StreamYard team loves to get those feature requests. So definitely save those for another time and put those feature requests in that way. But today we are going to talk about the pre-recorded feature. Okay. So Christian, are you ready to dive into this? I think we're going to be like, I think this is going to be good. By the way, thank you for joining me on today's show. Like I said, pretty sure this is going to be juicy. It's going to be fun. We've got some awesome stuff to share with you guys today. But here's what I wanted to do as we kick this off.
Okay.
I want to explain what it means to stream pre-recorded video, right? So what it means to stream pre-recorded video. And I'm going to also define the difference between using this new feature and some other features that StreamYard already has that kind of lets you do the same thing. So what it is to stream a pre-recorded video is it is actually, okay, so just bear with me, everybody. You're live. You will actually create a live broadcast, okay, on YouTube, LinkedIn, on Facebook, wherever. You will create a live broadcast, but the broadcast, the actual video that's being broadcast live is a pre-recorded video, right? So right now here, Christian and I are here with you live. You're commenting. We see that Billy, what's up? Billy is here. He says, the one and only Mel. We have O'Brien, Mil Grace here as well from Italy, right? We can see your live comments. We are interacting with you live. We are talking to you. This is an actual live video. But if we were to take an older video or maybe another video that we did a while ago, and we can use this new feature to live stream the video to our audience, but it is a pre-recorded video. We're not on screen with you live, right, at all. It's a video that's being repurposed that way. So with the new feature from StreamYard, you can do that. So let me just really briefly show you this because that also I think helps people see what we're talking about. So let me go ahead and make my Zoom a little bit bigger so y'all can see this a little bit better. So when you go into your StreamYard studio, you're going to have the option to create a broadcast, right? So if you click create broadcast, you are now going to see use pre-recorded video as an option, right? And so if we do that and we select it, you're going to have an option to pick your destinations just like any other live broadcast that you're doing. But then you're going to need to select a recording. Okay, so let's just say I was going to go live here, and then I'm going to select a recording. I can upload a video that I have already done, but I can also go to my past broadcast, which is actually super, super fun. Like, so if you have an old broadcast that you want to restream, then you can do that, right? And so you have two options. You can upload a video or you can use a past broadcast. Let's just pick a past broadcast just for fun, right? We'll do demo. So I'm going to choose that. And just like everything else, you're going to select a start time for that live broadcast. So let's say we want to make it tomorrow at, 12 o'clock p.m., high noon, right? You're going to give it a title. You're going to give it a description, right? And then you're also going to have an option to schedule an announcement. So this is where it actually is a little different. When you schedule a broadcast, normally, a normal broadcast in StreamYard, it's going to create an announcement for your audience. It's going to give that fun thing that says, Melanie Dyann Howe plans to go live Friday at noon. In this particular situation, you have an option to make that announcement or not. So you can schedule an announcement post, which you will pick your time that you want that announcement to go and your thumbnail image. And once you select create and schedule, it's going to be there. It's ready to broadcast at the time that you said you want it to be, which is going to be tomorrow, right? Now, if you can check your status, it's going to say, here you go. It's ready to, it's all queued up. It's queued up for Friday at 12 o'clock. And when it's time for you to be live, you can actually enter that broadcast, right? You can enter that broadcast from here. This is how you would access it. Here's the deal that I want to make sure everybody understands. There is a pretty significant difference when you are streaming, using this feature to stream, okay? You can't use, as of right now, you can't use the other features inside of the StreamYard studio. So like, for example, displaying comments, adding banners, you don't get those same controls. The video that you select for this pre-recorded stream is the video as it is, right? So if you're using a video that's just a raw video that you made and it doesn't have an intro, there's really nothing fancy about it, know that that's all you get, right? So like, that's what your audience is going to see. They're just going to see whatever that video is as it is. So might want to consider that. As you're, thinking about this feature, you might want to add an intro to it. There's a couple things we're going to go through as far as best practices, but the other studio features of StreamYard aren't active. You can be in the comments, okay? And that's really the only thing that you can do there. Christian, did I miss anything important on that one?
No, I don't think you did actually. I think it's important though, to highlight that, you can't, like, if you want to interact with your audience, you have to go to the destination where you're streaming to in order to interact with them. If you're using pre-recorded, if you're streaming pre-recorded, or if you're using the pre-recorded streaming feature.
Yeah, 100%. I think that there are definitely some things to consider, some best practices for sure when you are going to use this feature. So as you said in the beginning, you're like, use it sparingly. I also say this feature is an awesome option, but there are some things to consider. Don't just haphazardly start running in and streaming pre-recorded video. Now, I want to point out that there is a difference between this particular feature and our video share feature, which also allows you to play pre-recorded videos midstream or even really the entire stream if you wanted to do that. So when I mentioned that you don't get access to the studio features like displaying comments, banners, tickers, all those things, and controlling that while you're streaming, if you want to be able to do that and you just simply don't want to be on camera, and we'll go through some scenarios of why this might make sense for you to consider, then what you would want to do instead of using this feature I just showed you is you would want to use the video share feature. So the video share feature allows you to actually share a video that's on your computer, and you can go full screen with it, and you can play that, and you can still be in your studio controlling comments and banners, and you can even pause the video, you can go minimize it, come back on screen live. So there's a difference between this new feature and the video share feature for sure. So I know that I wanted to make sure that we pointed that out because I definitely think that there is a very significant difference in those two features for sure. So G. Albert says, can the definition of a pre-recorded broadcast be blended, like sharing videos? So essentially, G. Albert, hopefully I think what I was just saying is this pre-recorded stream, that is kind of like, it is what it is. Like you stream it, it's pre-recorded. It is, that video starts at the time you set it. And then when and you can end the broadcast early, but when that video is over, at the end of that video file, your live broadcast will end. So that is, there's no blended version there. That is what it is. But if you did want to do something blended like what I just described, like maybe you come on live with your audience and you say, hey everybody, I wanted to share with you an interview I did last week with my really good friend, whoever, right? And then you would say, I was really excited to talk to this person. I want to share the interview with you, and that's what we're going to do now. So I hope you enjoy this interview. I'll be with you live in the comments. Let me know your feedback for sure as you watch this interview with so-and-so. And then you would use the video share. You would play that video. You would minimize yourself, and then let your audience watch that interview. If you needed to, if all of a sudden everybody started having all these crazy questions and you were like, oh, I gotta get up in here, then you could pause your video, come back on live and say, hey, I see everybody's got questions about what this person's talking about. So I wanted to come on and bring some clarity, and then we'll get back to the interview. And then you can give your clarity and you can say, all right, let's go back and let's watch the rest of the interview. And you can do that. That would be a blended version that G. Albert is talking about. If that's what you want, then what you want to do is you would want to use this video share option. You could also, depending on the length of your videos, you could also just upload those into your brand section if you're on one of our paid plans. So that's also another option as well. So what are your thoughts on that, Christian?
I would say this. I think if you kind of look at it, there's like 3 scenarios of when you would want to use, or maybe it's not scenarios. So there's 3 ways, I guess, you could use this. So obviously, if you want to go live, you want to pull up the banners, kind of like what we're doing right now. You want to have the scrolling ticker. You want to bring in live comments, you use the just the regular live feature. So that way you create your broadcast, you add your destinations, and then within that broadcast, you can do all the same stuff of sharing videos, bringing them up in comments and so forth. Now, I think the second way I think I'd look at this, Mel, is if I want to, be able to bring up comments and things like that as they're kind of happening, but I want to play pre-recorded content, I could conceivably do all the pre-recorded video ahead of time. And when I start my broadcast, I could have like a slide or something that comes up at the beginning, like saying, hey, this is pre-recorded. And at that point, I could play the pre-recorded live. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And then at that point, if I did want to have people interacting kind of like they're doing right now, they would be able to do that because it would be a live video playing the actual pre-recorded content kind of in the middle of it. And then the third way would be, if I'm, for example, not available, and we've got some really great questions, by the way, about this as well. But if I were not available, and I don't necessarily need to interact with people right then and there, but I want to do it later, that's where I would use the pre-recorded feature. for, putting up the pre-recorded stream, and then going back and answering some of those comments. I do lose some of those, those interactions that I potentially get with my viewers in real time. But that's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, I actually think that you phrased that so perfectly. And I again, there's just so many different things to consider when you're going to use a feature like this. So make sure that you test it, play around with it, practice with it so that you understand, because maybe there are some limitations to it. So for example, I want to we have some awesome questions. So we're going to do a quick rapid fire and go through these. So G. Albert actually is saying, you should still be able to answer or to ask and answer questions on a pre-recorded broadcast, right? So as we mentioned, you can't display comments, you can't talk to your audience if you use the pre-recorded, stream, the stream version.
What we're doing right now.
Exactly.
Like we're bringing up your comment that does not exist when you are using a pre-recorded video as your stream.
Correct. If you use the streaming feature, like the stream a pre-recorded video, that's kind of how I've been phrasing it to my audience is there's the stream a pre-recorded video, but then there's play a pre-recorded video, right? And those are that's how we're going to phrase that. So if you use the stream feature that we showed you, you can't do that. Now, G. Albert, you're right. I actually think you should try to be live in the comments. That's actually one of the things I want everyone to consider is you should try to be live in the comments because here's the thing. The purpose of live video is for engagement, interaction, live interaction. So if you're not on screen live with them, that's one thing, but you can still show up live in the comments. Yeah. And so you absolutely should do that. And the way you would do that is you would enter that platform directly and you would interact there. As of right now, there's no way to interact in the comments in the StreamYard studio when you're using that stream pre-recorded video. Again, something to think about. So if you're going to multi-stream, if you're going to do the stream a pre-recorded video and you're going to multi-stream it to YouTube and Facebook, you have to have both of those actual streams open to be able to engage in those comments, and you would be typing those comments. So, G. Albert, I do think it's important to try to show up in the comments live, but know that that is a bit of a limitation to the way that the streaming a pre-recorded video does work. So again, be thinking about, should you use that version or should you stream it via using the video share? So great question. Okay, let's just keep going with these questions, and then you and I will just keep diving into what our opinions are.
So Mark Gerald Galindo says, once I schedule a pre-recorded video via YouTube, how can I get the YouTube link of my upcoming pre-recorded video so I can use it in my invites to my viewers? Okay, Mel, do you happen to have one of those that we can demo? Or?
So I just created one, and... Okay, let me share my screen. Duh. I should show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. So here I went ahead and did that as you were talking earlier.
Sure.
So I made one, and this is unlisted because you guys, I don't want to confuse my YouTube audience right now. So I actually made this as unlisted, but I'm going to go into edit. And so you can see here how I set this up. It's going to my YouTube channel, picked a start time. I just put in some, junky stuff here for demo. It does say unlisted, so no one's going to see that. Now, I didn't schedule an announcement. So then I went to save, and I went into check status, and it doesn't give me a link. Okay, so it doesn't give me a link. So I do believe to get the link, we do have to create that announcement post, because if you think about it, Mark, if you don't schedule an announcement, then you're not going to have anything to share because it's not even published yet. So when we schedule an announcement, it's like that placeholder that video on YouTube is going to say, so-and-so plans to go live Friday at this time. And then that post on YouTube will convert to the live video once that live video is turned on. Okay. Yeah. So that would be that. But as of right now, because I didn't schedule an announcement, there's nothing at all that exists on YouTube. So what we want to do, if you're wanting to do that, you would need to actually make sure you schedule an announcement. And so is it going to let me do it? Oh, it's not going to let me edit it here. So let's just start over and we'll just create a new one. Okay. Use pre-recorded. We'll go to YouTube. And again, I haven't even had a chance to play around with this enough to be fully versed in how to do all this stuff. Oops, let's pick a different day. Title, demo, make it unlisted again. I'm going to click schedule an announcement post, and we'll just say right now, create and schedule. Oop, must have a fully upload. Oops, I didn't pick one. I gotta pick a stream. There we go. So now this one should have a way, if I'm not mistaken, for me to view it. Nope, that's the old one. Sorry. Let's try it. I should have made it a different. awaiting announcement time. Oh, okay. My bad. All right. So Christian, it's going to wait until the actual time. That'll refresh here in a moment. So we'll check that. We'll check back on that. But if I'm not mistaken, what should happen here is once that scheduled announcement goes, where I went, it'll actually say view on YouTube, and there I can get the link.
Yeah. So if you kind of think of it like this, so Mark's asking the question of, is there a way to get a link to this? So you have to kind of think of it like this. What I would probably do in that situation is I would either you have to wait till it actually goes live to get the link. Or the other thing I also like to do is I like to set up a URL on my own domain. And I'm sort of geeking out, I guess, a little bit here. I set up a specific URL that is like my website /live. And then all I have to do behind the scenes is change that every single time I want to share it. So, that is something that, you could also do as well. So people always know what link to go to versus having to get a new link each time. But yeah, so in order to get that, Mark, you are going to have to wait for that to actually go live to get your viewers there. Remember, here's the other thing. You're technically not there. That's the other thing to keep in mind. If you're going to be, creating it, if you're going to pre-record a video or live stream, for example, and push it out as live, you're not there. So that's the other thing to, think about for something like that. So anything else you want to add on that question, Mel?
No, I think it's a great point though. I think that, what we should do, we'll answer a couple more questions because I think they're totally related. And then I want to talk about some scenarios about when you would actually use this. Because again, what we're talking about today is we're answering the question, what's the exact reason why we would do this, right? Like why should we even use this feature? So I definitely think that, you and I are going to dive into that. I want to share some scenarios about when it makes sense. I also want to share some scenarios that might be rolling around in all your heads that in my opinion, don't make sense. Okay.
Right.
So Christian and I might challenge you a little bit. This feature sounds exciting. It's like, oh, I can be live, but I can actually be in my pajamas and just like whatever. Yeah. We have some we got some we might push you a little bit here. So, but I definitely want to answer a couple more of these questions before we jump into that. Now, Christian, I actually don't know the full answer to this question, so hopefully you know. And I know that again, this feature is new, but since we can go in and use old streams. And I know that I believe StreamYard is changing the way that we access our old streams. I think it's going to be storage limits versus just time limits, maybe things like that. So right now, depending on the plan that you're on, you only have access to a timeline of streams, right? So, but I believe StreamYard's changing this. They're going to give us they're going to keep our old streams in the cloud longer, if I'm not mistaken. Do you know the exact answer to that?
I don't know the exact one on that. Going back to what you just said, but it's typically again the 2 weeks. So here's what I would always suggest to people, and that's set up a system. And that system is after every broadcast, download your broadcast. Like, what does it take? Like a whole 5 seconds, to go. I mean, it might take a little longer to download it, but it's part of your process. So for example, when you finish your live stream, don't just close the window and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go do something else. Instead, why don't you, click the 3 dots, download your broadcast, save it to your hard drive. So then that way you start to build an archive of all of your past broadcasts. So, I think that's what I would strongly encourage you to do. Again, if it's one from like, hey, I want to share this that I just did last week, for example, and I'm on the paid plan, then I could at that point bring up the broadcast. But personally, I like to keep an archive myself of the files. So.
I do think that's smart. I definitely get a little lazy myself sometimes, and I'm like, oh, it's in there. And then, you want to make sure if there's especially one that you feel you're going to repurpose later for, you might snip out, trim out clips from that and use that as great social media stuff, content for stories or wherever. You definitely want to make sure you're downloading those files so that you can then do what you want to do with it. So I love what you said about using a system. I think that's actually really,
can we demo really that, by the way, real quick? Like just to show people, where do they go to download these?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So let me pull this back up. So when you enter your StreamYard dashboard or your studio or your dashboard, excuse me, you're going to see anything you have scheduled right here. But if you want to access a past broadcast, up here where it says past broadcast, you just click here and you're going to notice that you've got these past broadcasts. And so if you want to download it, which actually just recently had an interview that I did that I'm going to be using as a podcast. I didn't even stream this. I simply just go here and I'm going to download that recording. Now you'll notice there is an option to stream it. So this is the other way you can set up that stream, a pre-recorded, an old stream, right? But you can download the recording, and you're going to notice I have a video option and I have an audio option. This is something I talk about all the time about why I love StreamYard, because for all you podcasters out there, you don't want to have to deal with using your video and then stripping out your audio. That's a pain in the butt. But if you just go right here, you can actually pull out that audio. So you would just select download, and it's gonna prompt you to pick a location to save your file.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to download the audio, if it was an interview, then you would actually, it only does it when you stream with a guest, I believe, for the extra audio. But you can actually download just the MP3 file as well when you do that. So I love those features. Definitely make sure that you are, again, like Christian said, you have a system in place. You are going to notice that you can load more, and it's going to show you your old streams, but you may not have access to download them depending on the time. So it shows you what you streamed, and it's all there, but that's how you do it.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. So, okay. So let's go through a couple more questions here, by the way, as well. So let's see. So Chris and Dale is asking, is it similar to Facebook Watch Party? So it's not similar to Watch Party. Facebook has a feature called Facebook Premiere, which lets you, it's only for Facebook, where you go to Facebook and you can basically make a pre-recorded video and then bring it up in just specifically in Facebook. This, for example, the benefit here is that you can multi-stream it using StreamYard. If you go the Facebook route, it's just the Premiere feature on Facebook. So let's see. There was also a really good question.
I like this one that Paul had, and
oh, good, nice.
Yeah, he says, can you record a full show with banners, text, etc., then push it out later? Paul, I love that you asked this question, because heck yes, you can.
Yes.
You can absolutely do that. In fact, that actually I think is part of Gage and Dan's vision about how you would maybe use this feature. Is you would actually record, maybe it's an interview, right? Maybe it's you would actually set up your show just like you would any other time. You would go to your broadcast studio, and instead of going live, you would select that record only feature, and then you have all the same controls. You click start recording, you record your show, right? Use the banners. Now, obviously, you're not going to have any live viewers if you do this, because you're not live. So you aren't going to have comments, but you can absolutely use your overlays. You can use your videos, your intro, your outro, whatever you might have set up. And then you can also have banners and tickers running just like you would when you'd be live. Then when you're done, you would end the recording. It goes into your past broadcast section. And then just like I showed you, you would go to that and you would say, I want to stream this out. And so, Paul, you 100% can use the StreamYard Studio to record a video that you can then use as this feature. So loved that question.
And I love that question, because that's exactly how I would use it as well. So for example, I do a weekly show, and, there's going to be times where, for example, time zones, I have somebody that, they don't do like our early time for our show, so they need a custom time. And so we would pre-record it just like we normally would in the studio. And then we would schedule it to go live. So super, that's like a great scenario of when you would use this.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I see a couple questions, and one of them is going to totally segue us into, I think, the next key points we need to make. But first, Stephen has this question. Do all platforms allow pre-recorded streams?
That is a very good question, actually. And so the answer to that is no. So I know Facebook, for example, Facebook, YouTube, they both allow pre-recorded streams. Let's see. LinkedIn, though, does not. So it's specifically in LinkedIn's terms of use as well about using pre-recorded streams. They don't want you to actually use it. And so let me see if I can actually find this so we can share this, Mel.
And is that one of those where like you just can't do it at all? Or is it you have to disclose it? Because I do know that YouTube and Facebook both essentially say they don't love this idea, by the way, from what I understand, but they understand it. What they're very, very keen on in their terms is that you cannot mislead your audience. And so it is very important that you let your audience understand that that you are not live. If you are on screen and talking, you need to have something that says previously recorded, or like I mentioned earlier, you might want to record an intro before and add it to your video to say, hey, everybody, Melanie here. I did this, this interview with so-and-so last week. Wanted to share it with you. This was previously recorded, but I wanted to come in live. Now, just so you know, I'm with you live in the comments. So if you have questions, I'll be typing responses to you in the comments. But this is a pre-recorded video that we are live streaming right now. So you definitely want to disclose that. Now, here's what I think about this.
Yeah.
I think, yes, you can say it in the beginning, but you know as well as I know, Christian, that many viewers are going to not see your intro. They are not even going to tune into this live broadcast until a few minutes in. And so I like the idea of you adding a watermark or maybe edit that video so every once in a while something pops up on it that is an overlay, like a little in the corner that says, previously recorded. In fact, when we watch the news, and sometimes if you watch like certain interviews or things, it'll say in the corner, like, previously recorded. The news channels do the same thing. What's really key here is that you don't mislead your audience. You need to make sure. So put it in the title, maybe put it in the description of your actual stream so that everybody understands that this is, previously recorded. I know I've mentioned it to you, and hopefully you can, maybe nudge Dan and Gage a little bit, but I think it would be really fun and really awesome if they could add a checkbox feature to this where we could maybe checkbox it and StreamYard would automatically put a little overlay maybe at the top of the video window for us. Because especially if you just want to use that pre-recorded stream or the old stream, you can't edit that. You're just pushing out an old stream. So, I definitely think that would be a really cool thing. But I know that this is a new feature that we're basically getting feedback from the users on. And I'm sure that they'll be responding to lots of those things. So
we'll see. How about this? We'll see if we can get something like that added. In the meantime, I have a couple of suggestions. And then I also want to bring up this LinkedIn Live feature, actually. So here's the LinkedIn Live feature first. And then just remind me, let's figure out some ways people can display if it's pre-recorded. But this is from LinkedIn Live's broadcasting FAQs page. And so there is this whole section, can I stream a video that was previously recorded? And then, according to LinkedIn, to maintain trust with your followers, they discourage streaming pre-recorded content. All live streams should be happening in real time. So here's the thing. They don't explicitly say, hey, we're going to cancel things if you do it, if you don't. But I'm sure that they will at some point flag you if they see that you're doing that. And here's the thing, LinkedIn Live is hard to get access on. So if you happen to have that and you're, kind of abusing their system, I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to revoke that. Yeah. So just be very mindful about, if you're going to stream, go to the ones that do support it, Facebook, YouTube, for example.
Yeah. And I actually feel like and I don't have the YouTube's or Facebook's terms, but they're kind of similar. They don't really say that it's not allowed, but they definitely they have phrases like we discourage it to maintain trust with your followers. Again, it's all about do not mislead your followers. So I do think that, if it's something that you need to do and you want to try, just make sure you're disclosing it, which kind of goes back to, the question I wanted to pull up was Billy's question here, where he basically is asking, hey, there are times when we just can't because life happens or whatever. If we use a previously recorded video, is it a good practice to let the audience know it's previously recorded? 100%. So StreamYard right now, Billy, does not automatically let them know. So there's nothing when you use this feature that on those platforms, it's not going to say anything automatically. So as we were just kind of talking about. So maybe in the future, StreamYard will be able to kind of set that up where we can do something where it'll put a little something up there. But as of right now, you would need to make sure the description, states that. And again, if possible, do an intro video where you can state that for sure. So great question.
Excellent question. Yes. And so here are a couple things you can do in the meantime. Okay. So for example, if you're planning to stream a pre-recorded video, basically, so you're going to record it and then you're going to push it completely 100% as live. A couple things you can do to indicate this. So Mel mentioned this at the beginning. You could come on screen at the beginning and say, hey, this is Christian Karasevich, and this stream we're pre-recording this week's live stream. I will be in the comments, for example. So you could do something like that. So the second way you can do this is you could create an overlay. So you can go into Canva, you can go into Easel, and you basically can just put up an overlay, and it literally could just say, this is pre-recorded. So that's a second way. And then a third way would be to put a banner and to use that banner sparingly. So for example, if you go into the banner section, you could pop up a banner, maybe, maybe towards the like a third of the way through it, and then maybe another third and then another third. So this way, if somebody doesn't see it at the beginning, they might see it throughout. And then the last way I can think of, at least Mel, on this, I think this is the easiest way, is why don't you just make a banner and set it as a scrolling ticker that says something like, this is a pre-recorded stream. We'll be back whenever your next live show is going to be. So there's some suggestions. Is there anything you would add there, Mel?
No, I actually love that banner and ticker idea, especially if you know you're going to be, like, if you know that this is going to be done that way. As the person asked earlier, produce it in the StreamYard studio, use the little ticker at the bottom. I love the idea of the ticker, and just let it run the whole time, right? Let it run the whole time so that then when you push that out, that's actually going to be part of the actual video. So I do love that idea. And there are, I think that I will say this too. If everything we're describing to you guys scares you or intimidates you, or you're like, oh my gosh, then you don't need to use this feature. Like, just because it exists doesn't mean you should or have to be using it. There are some specific reasons why you might want to use it. And so I think that that's what we should probably segue into next, because I even have Chris, says, she's like, is it basically for being on vacation and still showing up for your audience? So let's talk about that, because that's again, the whole point of today is if you're just not joining us, what we're talking about is we are actually answering Lestat's question, which is, what's the exact reason why we need to schedule a live broadcast of a pre-recorded video? So again, let's talk about what some of those scenarios would be. So here's what I say. This is something, and I'm trying to decide, do I want to lead in with my tough love from Mel, or do I want to kind of bring it home with my tough love from Mel? I think I want to say this.
Okay.
If you're not doing live videos regularly right now, I don't think this feature is for you. Okay. So I feel pretty strongly about that, because I think what's happening is that, if, for example, if you don't have a regular show. So for example, this show is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mm-hmm. If I were unavailable, or, any of our other hosts were unavailable one week, or maybe the whole StreamYard team is crazy busy because it's event week, or we're all at a conference, or who knows what, right? Mm-hmm. But we still want to make sure we take care of you guys, because you're used to expecting us 11 a.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. Well, we could pre-record this exact same thing. Now the show would probably be much shorter, because we're not taking your questions live. Okay. So again, you need to approach your content differently too. You don't want to just be like, hey, I'm going to answer the question. Christian, you and I could probably answer this question if we didn't have any other questions coming up. We weren't interacting with us. Mm-hmm. Probably within 15 minutes, we could go through all of the key points we wanted to go through. Yeah. But it also might be smart to predict some of those questions our audience might ask, and say, hey, you might be wondering this. And then we could go through some of those predictive questions. Yeah. Then that show might be about 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. What we would do is we would actually use this feature. The reason we would use this feature is because you all are used to hearing from us Wednesdays at 11 a.m. And if all of a sudden it's like, sorry, no Ask StreamYard show this week. In fact, no live shows this week because the entire StreamYard team is at a conference and we're doing whatever. Yeah. We're leaving you guys kind of in the dark, right? And so I think that because we're using live video regularly, because we have a show that is on a schedule, that makes 100% sense why we would use that feature periodically. But if you're not using live videos yet, or if you dabble in it and you're maybe every once in a while you go live, I really don't think this should become the way you live stream. So your audience is not used to you being live. So then all of a sudden you start creating these live videos that aren't actually live. I just think that it's a little bit funky.
Well, and here's the other thing that I want to kind of add to that. And I tend to agree with you. So for example, if you're not live streaming,
I know you tend to agree with me. That's right.
Here's the thing. If you're not live streaming at all, and you're not doing it because you're scared of getting on camera, things like that, for example, this does hold you back. Mm-hmm. Because it never gets you to move forward, because you kind of rely on, Mel, I'm sort of jumping ahead, but you sort of rely on that crutch, essentially, of never going live because you're afraid to go live. So, if you're just going to do pre-recorded streams, that's not necessarily, I guess, a scenario when I would try to leverage too much. Mm-hmm. So I think that, again, you and I both, we're on the same page. I mean,
I think
this
so.
is one of those things that you use.
I think Dan and Gage are on the same page too. I think they've been very open that listen, the ideal scenario is that you're live. The ideal scenario is you are live using the StreamYard studio, engaging with your audience, displaying comments, using banners, using the functions. The ideal scenario is that you are live. Video is meant to be live. It's meant for live interaction. The other thing that I think that some people are thinking about is they're like, oh, well, live video is favored in the algorithms. Well, yes, it is. It is. However, you shouldn't focus on the algorithms. If you have content that needs to just be edited and it's just a short, punchy tutorial, it's 10 minutes long, don't just stream it because you think you're going to get benefits from the algorithms.
Right.
Again, live video, the intention of live video is to have two-way conversation in the moment live, right?
Yeah.
Those punchy tutorials, things that are like 10 minutes long, sure, you could totally do a 10-minute live video tutorial live. But if you have a pre-recorded version of it and it's edited and it's all fancy, just upload it as a regular video, right?
Right.
So again, there's just some things to be thinking about here. So I want to make sure that, because I love that you said the crutch, because I do think that people think, oh, I'm afraid of messing up. I have a very important message. I can't screw it up. So I want to pre-record it so I can make sure I get it perfect. And then I'm going to stream it. That there are maybe some cases where that could be the case. But what you and I have talked about this is what I don't want you all to do is to get used to that. And then all of a sudden you're doing this all the time.
Right.
If that is truly the way you need to create content and show up for your audience and you need that non-live effect, then don't use live video. Just pre-record it and upload it as a video. And then, but I'm going to still push you to do live videos because I think it's one of the best ways you can engage and be with your audience. But don't use this feature as a Band-Aid or a crutch, as we talked about. So, and I think that, I think that Dan and Gage are on the same page with that too. So let's talk about some scenarios about when you would want to use this feature. We'll talk about some of those scenarios, and then let's make sure we also get some. We have a lot of great questions, so I want to make sure we also check.
I want to make sure we hit all these questions, and there's some fantastic questions. So, okay, so let's talk about some different scenarios when you might use a pre-recorded stream. So, obviously, Mel, I mean, you and I talked about this. So, let's say you happen to be away. Say you have something at work going on, and you still want to be going live. That is one way that you would use this. And obviously every single one of these, you'd also want to have that disclaimer. It doesn't matter, if you don't have to tell people what you're doing, but you also don't want to use this so much that people, kind of start to kind of get used to that, because then they're not going to come back and watch anything you're doing.
Right. Exactly.
So if you're away, like at a team event, I think that's useful. What are some other ways, Mel, that you can think of?
Yeah. So again, if your audience is used to seeing you and you're on vacation or you're at a conference or you're not able to be in your normal studio, you could, I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep pressuring people to still show up live. Hey, you're not in your studio. So what? Use your phone, go to the StreamYard application on your phone. It works mobily. You can have all the same features, but what if you're out of the office and your internet is not reliable, right? You maybe wouldn't be able. So I actually just had this literally the week before Dan and Gage released this feature. I was like, why couldn't this be available 1 week prior? I was actually on vacation and I was at a huge lake in Tennessee, and there was the worst internet ever. You couldn't get a call out. So, there was no way that I was going to still be able to show up live for my audience, and during the time when they were used to seeing me live, I was on a boat. I was out on a boat. Now, I'm not afraid to go live from a boat, but if my internet is not going to be reliable, that's going to be a very poor experience for my audience. And so what I did that day, before this feature was available, I basically said, hey guys, I'm on vacation, not going to be available. And I shared a link to a video that I actually did for you guys. And I said, hey, and I made it publish at 2:00. So what I would have done had this feature been available is I would have recorded some sort of message to them, probably would have been short and sweet, and I would have streamed it at the same time, just like I normally do, because my audience is used to seeing me. So vacations, you're like you said, maybe you have something going on at work, maybe you're at a conference, maybe it's first day of school and you want to pick up your kids, and that's normally when you're live. I don't know. There's multiple scenarios why you might want to be away. But again, I'm going to keep saying this until everybody, it's going to drive everybody crazy. Do not sit there and all of a sudden say, because my schedule has it. Tuesdays, 2:00. Every other Wednesday, 11 a.m. I have my live schedule in my calendar blocked out so that I don't accidentally book meetings over it. But I always know. do not look at this now and all of a sudden say, look at your calendar and be like, ooh, yeah, I just got an invite to do XYZ today for that day. That's normally when I'm live. Oh, I'll just do a pre-recorded stream. Don't start to get lazy. Protect that schedule still. Again, use this feature sparingly for sure. So
I want to add a couple other things actually in here. And so, want to just add a couple of things that I think can also be helpful here. So you talked about, your internet, if you're in a place that's got spotty internet, for example, or you're going to a place that has spotty internet and you don't, for example, hotels, they don't always have the best internet. People are like, hey, I'm gonna go live in a hotel. The internet might not be very good. So if you can, maybe you're going to be going for a weekend trip or something like that, pre-record that stream in your studio, for example, and then bring it in as a live video at your normal time. You also talked about attending conferences or events. Focus on the conference or the event, and then afterwards go back and respond to some of the comments that people might have left. Now, in addition to this, though, we also, you talked about, I don't want to say use it for vacation, but if you are going to be on vacation, stick with your normal schedule. But it's like one time out of, like, if you go live, for example, once a week, it's 1 out of 4 times, maybe a month, that you might actually use the pre-recorded streaming feature. Now, in addition to that, I'd also another one I would actually add, for example, if I go live every single week and I need 1 week where, I need an actual, like I don't say a mental health day, but like you need a day where, I need to really get that hour back and focus on, working on a big project to move the business forward. Maybe I want to do 1 stream a month where it's pre-recorded, which gives me that time back to put it back into the business. In addition to that, Mel, I'd also add a couple other things. So for example, I mentioned this earlier, if you got guests that are on different time zones, for example, if you're on the East Coast and you're working with somebody on the West Coast and you like to do an early show, that might be too early for some people. So see if you can pre-record that stream, a couple of days ahead of time, and then bring it in as a live at your normal broadcast. But make sure, again, you also let your viewers know throughout the live that it is a pre-recorded stream. Are there any other examples you can think of, Mel?
Yeah, and with the guest thing, depending on, again, there may be your guests, especially if they're a high profile guest, their availability, just quite frankly, may not fit your normal live schedule time or even your schedule. So, when you want to go live. So there's that. But also some people, hey, there are even high profile people that do not want to do live interviews. They are willing to do an interview with you, but they do not want to be live. That is also going to come into play. And if that comes into play, you can say, well, okay, that's fine. Do you mind if I stream it, but it's pre-recorded? They will probably say, yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just aren't comfortable with being live, doing the interview live. So there may be that scenario. You can still do this. You can have this scenario, pre-record it, and then stream it the other way. The other thing that I was going to say is that also the reason why some guests won't want to do a live interview is because their time is they only have so much time for you. And if you have a 30-minute window and you want to get 30 minutes of their time in, you can interview them, but you may not have time to take comments from your audience. And that can make that interview a little bit more challenging. Maybe you're sitting here seeing all these comments and you're like, oh my God, I feel terrible because I'm not acknowledging anybody. I'm not able to get their questions. So it may make more sense for a smoother interview for you not to do a live broadcast of that interview, meaning do the interview while you're live. So there are definitely some scenarios with the whole guesting thing.
Yeah.
The other scenario that's really kind of interesting in a time zone standpoint, and I know I've run into this before, is that you may have audience members or you may have a particular topic or thing that you're doing or project you're working on and you want to be using these live videos. Maybe your audience is in a time zone that you don't want to be up at, 5 a.m. live streaming, or, when it works for you to live stream, your audience is asleep, right? Yeah. So if your audience is in a different time zone, right, then that may make sense for you to use this feature as well. And again, the difference is going to be, I still want you to consider, should it be a live video though, or should it just be a regular video you put out? So there's definitely a lot of scenarios there when it comes to timing that makes sense for sure. So there's another scenario that came up. I actually had a woman who is a StreamYard user. She's a lot of times on these Bling Auntie, and she was saying that the process of what she does is like it's laborious, right? So she gets hot and certain times of day, it's better for her, but her audience wants to see these videos from her at a different time of day. So she actually likes to do kind of like, she likes to do it when it fits her, but also when it's not as hot, so she can do it more comfortably. But then also she can edit and shorten those videos up so that it's not like, oh, there's all these processes of her audience waiting for something. You and I have talked about cooking demos.
Yeah.
So if you want to do a cooking demo, but you don't want people sitting there
example.
waiting for the 45 minutes stuff in the oven to come out, you could still create this video of the entire demo and then you could stream it and do the demo, but it's edited, it's snipped, it's clipped so that all that processing is shorter. But again, in that scenario, I would highly recommend you're in the comments live because that's a different reason. So there may be some cases where you need to edit the video to shorten it to make it a better video. So there's that too.
Another thing I want to add. So for the cooking example, one thing, little trick basically that a lot of people do for the cooking one, if you ever watch any of the previous ones where people have been showing how to make something, they actually have already pre-made the item, for example, and it's in an oven or a warming drawer or something like that. And so they'll show you how to actually assemble it. They'll say, hey, let's put this in the oven for 45 minutes for certain degrees, at a certain temperature, and then they'll put it in the oven, and then they'll go back and they'll talk about something, and then they'll say, hey, let's go check out what that looks like. It's not the fact that like 45 minutes passed. They actually have already kind of pre-made a second one. So then they pull it out of the oven. This is what it looks like. So again, I mean, there's different scenarios, like again, with kind of how you set this sort of thing up, and so it really depends on what your use case is going to be. In terms of, what are you actually streaming? The other thing also, and there were a couple of questions in here, I think, Mel, people were asking about, or they were saying like, life happens. And so that's another time that you might use this feature. So for example, as you're doing your normal live show, let's say you happen to also maybe you record a couple of past episodes, for example, or you have a couple of like, sort of like additional episodes that you do not air yet. You may have those in your back pocket in the off chance that something does come up, so that then all you have to do is schedule it out, and you could put a disclaimer at the beginning, hey, there's a previously pre-recorded episode, we'll be back whatever the following week is. Again, you don't have to give a reason why you're using the pre-record, but you should disclose that it's a pre-recorded video that you're using.
100%. I mean, that's going to come up, that we're going to continue to preach that to you guys, because again, there are times when this feature makes sense, and there are times when it may not make sense. It may sound fun and it may make your life easier, but again, this should be used sparingly. And if you do use it, you must disclose to your audience. You don't want to mislead them. Couple of questions I think that we should answer. So what's the difference between pre-recorded live and YouTube's premiere option? Now, Facebook has a premiere option as well. I personally don't use these features, but I know, Christian, you probably are more familiar with those than I am.
So this is just like the Facebook premiere option. So except it's just on YouTube and it's only on that platform. So for example, if you wanted to be able to, like, let's say you want to push something out to YouTube and Facebook at the same time, if you decided you wanted to do this just, if you just wanted to use YouTube, you'd have to go directly to YouTube and premiere something, or go to Facebook and premiere something, versus, which is twice the amount of work, versus going into StreamYard and scheduling it once and then setting those as your destinations. So that's basically, if you're going to premiere something, they do have those options, but the benefit to using a pre-recorded live is that you get the multi-streaming functionality there.
Got it. Okay, cool. So love that. I do think that there are definitely different. I'm literally making a mental note in my head that I think that you should make that a blog post. What is the difference? I think you should totally have a blog post about that and spell out those differences, because I think that I personally am like a little bit unclear on it and foggy with it. But I also think there's a difference. There might be a scenario when you want to use the Premiere option versus this other option. So be weighing that out as well. And what are the differences and the benefits to using one over the other? So
Definitely.
yeah.
So I got another question here, by the way, and this is from Rick Cheadle. He's saying, I'm an artist that does art tutorials. I would like to do the art, then add that video to a live feed of me interacting and answering questions. They'll be doing this very soon. So I think in Rick's case, so this kind of goes back to that cooking demo that we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to demonstrate how to make something, you're not going to wait the 45 minutes for the item to actually be finished. In Rick's case, for example, he could actually set up he could set up another camera and have it record or have it stream him making the item. And then he could, use that as his, use it as a pre-recorded live. If he did want to go the route of interacting and answering questions, though, this is where I would go with that first scenario, which is create a live stream broadcast and then bring in your pre-recorded video as like shared video, for example. And then that would give him the ability to have the comments kind of like we're displaying right now on screen. That would be another way that he could use that.
Yeah, I personally love the video share for these scenarios. I really do. I think you can. I've done this before. I know I did this even when the video share became a feature in the very beginning. The very beginning, there was a particular type of tutorial demonstration for me on the computer. But as many of you know, like you click on this and you download this, and it's like downloading. I wanted to just lean all that out, and so I did a tutorial video. And instead of doing it live, the other thing too is sometimes you don't know what's going to pop up on your computer, somebody sends you a DM and it's like, I don't want that showing. So, I like to the artist, it's the same thing. If you have a process that takes time and you want to show that process, create an edited video of it, but use the video share because you can play that in the stream. So let me just, it's probably something that I should demo really quick because maybe not everybody is using that. Okay. So let me get up in here. I'm going to open up my studio here. And inside of your StreamYard studio, you got a little quick on me there, Christian. So we're in the studio here. Down here at the bottom, down here at the bottom, when you see share, you're going to notice you have screen share, right? Like, which we use all the time. That's what we're doing right now. I'm sharing my second monitor. I'm over here looking at the right, but I'm looking at you here. But you also have the video share feature, which is where you're going to be able to grab a video on your computer, right? And you can play that video. So you can add it. It's going to be right down here, just like a video share. So you can go ahead. We can mute it if we want to, as we're going to get started. And I'm going to add it to the stream. And you're going to notice it's playing while I'm here. But look, I'm still here midstream with you. Now I can go solo mode, go full screen with that. Now I'm not playing audio for y'all, but this is a demo I did where I basically am reminding everyone, hey, if you have a fuzzy image, you might want to clean your screen. This is a video that I can play anytime. I can pause it, and then I can come back on screen, and I can address my audience and say, you might be wondering XYZ, so blah, blah, blah. Now let's get back to the rest of the tutorial, and I can play the rest of it. I can go full screen again. So this is perfect for anyone that is wanting to have a, they have a process that they don't want to do live, but they want to show how to do it. You can record a video, use the video share feature to still be here, but then you're still live with your audience. So again, I think that many of the ways people are wanting to use the stream a pre-recorded video, I actually think that I want you to explore this option as your first choice. And if it still doesn't work for you, then you would use the other choice, right? Which is the other one. So
and
Candy says, I love the video share.
I gotta say, I want to add one thing real quick to what you just showed. So for example, when you brought up your screen, and I'm going to pull this back up because I want people to understand this. So you see how the playhead and the volume are on screen? Those do not show up in your live. That's only for you in the backstage area. So just keep that in mind. And you can control it from there, or you can actually go down to the bottom video as well, and you'll get the same controls. So like when we bring it, can you, let's move down to that bottom area where the video is at in the little carousel on the left.
What do you want me to do?
Right there. Go to the video that's playing right now in the stream. Go to the hover over that. Yeah. So you'll also see play controls there as well.
Yes, you can
So
right here. You can do it
yeah,
all down there. And then just like the video share, you can remove it from the studio, just like that. And it's gone.
yep, easy. Okay,
I
so
mean, the video
yeah,
share, I think, is something that is very underutilized by
hmm
our StreamYard users. I think there are so many creative ways you can use that feature. Just if there are things, here's the other, has again nothing to do with necessarily with today's thing, but like if you get asked the same questions all the time about how to do something, record a quick little video, have
hmm
it in your little arsenal,
yeah.
and then people, it comes up, be like, guess what, guys? All right, let me show you real quick. Boom. That is actually great for frequently asked questions if you need to show somebody how to do something. So 100%. Okay. All right. We got more questions, right?
We got lots. I'm going to bring up Paul Harper's question here. So his
Okay.
question is the recording quality good like 1080p? So it would record at whatever you had it set. So if you're on the 720p plan, then you would get the 720p recording. And then if you're doing the 1080p option, you would have 1080 as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all set in your settings. Okay, so what else do we have here, Mel?
Candy has an interesting question. Are you? And this again, we were talking about how LinkedIn pretty
Does
much
not,
says
right?
they
Yeah.
do not want you doing it, but they don't. I mean, it's in my opinion, if they're going to truly ban it or punish us, they should be very, very. They should just say this is not allowed. They
Yeah.
don't say that. They say it's discouraged. So again, I think that they're very careful with their terms. Is there an example of a platform that is 100% supportive of pre-recorded streams?
Here's the thing. I think that it still comes back to disclosure. So, for example, Facebook offers their own Premiere option. YouTube offers their own Premiere option as well. They just want you to disclose that this is pre-recorded content. So again, it's not, they don't want you using it to trick your audience into thinking it's live when it's not, because it does still say it's live, for example, but they don't want you to trick people. So they want you to be authentic.
Yep.
So, I don't really, as far as platforms, I mean, again, Facebook doesn't discourage it because they have their own. YouTube doesn't discourage it as well. But again, they just want you to let people know that it's pre-recorded. So if you're going to be using pre-recorded live, so basically recording a video, pushing it out like it was a live video, it goes out like a live video. Just add, something as simple as a scrolling banner or a scrolling ticker along the bottom that says this is a previously recorded episode. And that actually brings me to a good comment from James Just here. He says, we have a public access TV show. When we get back into the regular studio, public access gets the right to first air. So we will use the pre-record to re-air the show on social. So again, and that's another thing to think about, like think about TV reruns. So for example, let's use sports as an example. So if somebody's watching say you're watching a game and it gets, all of a sudden there's this huge rain delay, right? So it was a live event, but now they're going to switch to pre-recorded content. And here's the thing. Somebody could have tuned into that channel thinking, oh, that's where the game's going to be at, right? And so they tune in thinking they're actually watching the real game, but instead what they get is they get a pre-recorded video, and it actually does tell you it's pre-recorded. So,
yes.
Or this is a previously aired
yes.
Episode or a previously aired game.
Yeah. I think that the scenario that's very similar. So the public access, that's a fairly unique example, right? I think most of our people may not be in that scenario. But what if you are a guest on somebody else's content and you're live on their channel and you would like to also share that with your own audience, but you want to do it as a live broadcast? So you can ask the person that you were a guest with, like, hey, can I have an access to the download so that I can also air this on my own channel, a week after it goes live on your. This is actually pretty common when people do collaborative podcasts. I have two really good friends of mine, Heather Sager and Crystal Profit, and we did a show where we did a conversation about our business friendship and how we feel it's so important to find business friends. And it was first aired on Heather's show. And then a few weeks later, it was aired on Crystal's show. I have a huge overlap in my audience. And so I waited even longer that it's getting ready to air on my show. So, but we didn't want to just put it on all our shows at the same time because we had a little bit of an overlap in our audience. And so this might be, and also your host, the person who's running and interviewing you, they should have essentially that, initial, dose of the live stream. But you could ask for the recording. And you could say to your own audience, hey, this is an interview I did with so-and-so. I thought it went so well. I wanted to share it with you as well. This was previously enjoyed over on the blah, blah, blah channel. I actually got that idea from Mike from Never Let the Machines Win. He said, instead of saying previously recorded, especially if you're repurposing an old stream, you might say previously enjoyed, which I actually thought that was kind of cute and kind of fun. So I liked that. But I love that example because that is, again, as another example of you're a guest on somebody else's show. So you can now share it with your own audience.
So I've got a couple more comments here, or questions actually. This is from West Ham Network. They're asking, hey guys, just joined the stream. We've built our channel on interacting with fans. Do you think this would have a detrimental effect to the engagement? What do you think, Mel?
We have built our channel on interacting with the fans because of that. And yes, I actually think that, again, I think it depends. If you overuse this and you all of a sudden start using this instead of showing up live, 100%. I think that, again, everybody hear me say this. I'm going to continue to preach this until I'm purple like the lights behind me in the face. Live video has a very specific need. There's a reason you use live video. Okay. Yes, the algorithms favor it, but you know why the algorithms favor it? Because these platforms want them to be social. They want your content to be social. They want it to be engaging. And so the reason the algorithms favor live video it's not a system thing. It's because it's a user experience thing. They want to create a positive user experience. And because live videos are so engaging and the interaction's there and the value is so high and the relationship you can create and build and the conversations you can have with your audience because you're live, that's so valuable that, yes, the algorithms favor live video. But that is not, do not sit here and say, oh, I'm going to start doing pre-records and because the algorithms favor. No, algorithms favor live interaction. That's how I want you to start thinking about it. Don't think about it as live. They favor live interaction because that's the kind of stuff. It's social. You're having a conversation. Okay, it's two-way communication in the moment. So will it be detrimental? I mean, personally, I think if you start replacing most of your live videos with this pre-stream stuff, I think it will. I think you will see a decline in your engagement. As you said earlier, Christian, the audience will start to get to the point where it'll say so-and-so's live. It'll say West Ham Network is live. And your audience will start to go, but are they? Is this one of those one things? I'll watch it later. So if you are using this all the time, your audience is going to get flat, in my opinion. It's just not the same. Again, think about the reason we create live videos. And then there's the reason why we also create regular recorded videos that aren't live. You have to balance it out.
Exactly. And this is one of those features where, again, you want to make sure, and you're going to hear me say this, I've said it a bunch. And again, it's because you need to disclose, or you should disclose, that this is pre-recorded. So again, I mean, it's as simple as putting up a banner and then setting it as a scrolling ticker. That's how easy it is. And you can get creative with that. But again, you should disclose this. Also use it sparingly, as Mel mentioned. So for example, if I go live once a month, then maybe I could increase that to twice. One of those is a live, and then one of them might be, a replay or another topic, for example, that I am streaming. Because then that also is a way to, also still do your live, but also see, well, you know what, should I consider moving to twice a month, for example? How does that kind of go over with my audience? The other thing also is, again, if you need to take some time off, not saying I take 6 months off, but maybe if you stream once a week, maybe one of those weeks is a pre-recorded stream that allows you to catch up on certain things. It allows you to attend certain things. Because again, you can't take yourself and basically be multiple places at once. This is not intended to, oh, well, I'm going to trick people into I'm going to be on vacation, for example. That's the other thing. It's not necessarily about being on vacation. It goes back to what Mel said earlier. If you set up a schedule, stick to your schedule, but yet, throw one of these in there here and there, but don't throw it in every single week.
I agree. Yes. I'm just going to preach that. And someone said, preach, Melanie. I'm going to preach that same stuff all the time. So,
let's see, what other questions? We have so many good questions here. And I kind of want to try to address as many of these.
I hope you weren't planning on eating lunch today, Christian.
We got some time. So
We do.
let's see. We covered that one. We covered, let's see. Let's see what Russ's question is here. So I use this record only to interview celebrities or ex-soccer players who haven't got the time to appear at a more stream-friendly time. Would you suggest live streaming that pre-record? Mel, you want to take that?
I mean, again, it goes back to kind of what we were saying earlier, and I think Russ commented on this even before we went into those scenarios about those guests. I think it comes down to if your interview needs to be conducted in a way that, as he says, isn't really friendly with either the timing for them or they just aren't going to have time for the live interaction, then you might want to just do that recording and then stream it. But again, you could also use the video share. I'm going to keep saying that. You could use the video share.
You could, yeah.
And so, definitely, I think that it all comes down to here's the thing. Again, the live experience for your viewers, you've got to be thinking about that. But then also the experience of the content. If the content that you want to share is very difficult to do live, then record it, right? Record it, make it the way you need to make it so that the content is valuable and is of quality. And then you either use the video share feature and go live and share that mid broadcast, or use the pre-recorded stream the pre-recorded video feature. It all comes down to, again, do not do this because you're trying to be perfect. Right. Live video is not supposed to be perfect. Nope. But if your content does require extra steps or things that are not really conducive to the live video setup, then yes, absolutely. So it kind of depends, but it sounds like, based on what he's saying, that might be what he should try. So for sure. But again, consider the video share.
Yes, definitely. Well, here's the thing. I mean, if he's going to be working with, celebrities, like soccer players, people who have a limited amount of time, like record it. Yeah. So record it and then, ask them, hey, can I stream this at a previous, time? And like Mel mentioned, you've got different scenarios of when you could use this. You could make it a full-on episode and live stream it. It's pre-recorded content. You're then putting it in as a live video, or you could just do a live video and say, like, hey guys, this week we had I had a great guest, due to some time restrictions, or, you don't even have to tell people that, but due to some complications, due to whatever, they weren't able to actually be on with me live. However, I did record the conversation, and then you could bring it up, and it can still be part of your show that you're doing.
Yeah, totally. And our friend Tree Fan Events, she's kind of, this is exactly what I'm saying. It's not always fear, right? But there may be times when it just doesn't fit, right? Again, I just want to continue to go back and encourage people. If it doesn't fit, does it still fit for you to stream it? Right? Or does it fit for you to just upload it as a video? Right? So again, be thinking about all those different things. So there's a lot of kind of benefits, but also a lot of things to consider when it comes to this feature for sure. So
I kind of feel like we need a flow chart or something to that effect, so that when somebody, they decide, well, hey, I want to do a live stream, or hey, I've got something coming up, like which door do I pick, basically? Right. The good thing is you have lots of options here. It comes down to, the flow of like what your show is going to be. We also have a good question here, by the way, from Josher. Josher's asking, does it create a scheduled live on YouTube so we can edit the thumbnail, optimize the keywords, etc.? So that would not, and by the way, Mel, I don't know if you want to go check on your one you were creating.
Yeah, I will.
But basically what's happening is, if we record the content ahead of time and then we push it out as essentially a live video, what's going to happen is it's not going to create an entry on YouTube yet. It doesn't do that until the video is then aired. And then when it wraps, then you could actually go back and add the thumbnail and optimize the keywords and so forth. So, because that would then create that entry within the platform. If, for example, you were streaming to YouTube. So what are you seeing there, Mel? Anything?
I wasn't, and I think it's because of the times that I selected. So I'm actually going to do another one. I'm actually going to do another one, and I'm going to do an image with it as well. So yeah, I'm going to set this up, and we'll check on it here in a few minutes.
Very cool. Let's see. So I like Anna's comment here. We included a ticker a couple of times saying it's pre-recorded so the ladies could have vacation. Again, it's one of those select situations when you would use this. So for example, if you do, everybody expects you to have to, life gets in the way, or people like to take a vacation, for example, if it's the summer months. So, it's always a good, as long as you put it up front that it's pre-recorded, that that totally works. And hey, let them know when you're going to come back. Let's see. Are there any other? Let's see. Candy likes my flowchart idea. We'll see what we can come up with there. Let's see. Let's see. Are there any other good questions?
I know that someone had asked a question. I'm going to see if I can find it. Really, there's actually a number of great questions as I'm scrolling up here. But I know that somebody asked a question when I was talking about downloading. Okay. There were two questions actually in regards to that. So let me see if I can find that briefly. Someone asked, and maybe you'll see it. I think someone asked the question of, hey, I mentioned that the situation where I might be a guest on somebody else's show, and I might say, hey, can you send me, that download so that I can then upload it into my StreamYard and do what we're all talking about here. Here's the scenario that would work. If they're using a streaming application, they should have access to a download, most likely. Okay. If you're using StreamYard, you go to your past broadcast and you can download it from there. We showed that demo a little bit earlier. If it's on YouTube, if it's on their Facebook page, you can download it directly from the platform. If I'm not mistaken, as of right now, you still cannot download a live broadcast from the Facebook group inside that platform. And again, that goes back to just privacy things and whatever for the group. So if they are broadcasting that interview, even if they're just using their phone or whatever, and you're on their show, if they are on a public page or on YouTube, they should be able to download that video file from the platform, and they can save it somewhere and send it to you. You can't download it, right? But they can download the file and send you the file. Now, again, if they're using StreamYard, then they can download their broadcast from the cloud right inside the StreamYard studio. So, and that's if they're on that's a paid feature, if I'm not mistaken, right, Christian? I always get that. I can never remember some of the features. There's so many features that are included in the free plan that I'm like, wait, is that one free? The
downloading one's not.
I don't think that one is. Yeah, I think you have to be on one of the paid plans to be able to download your broadcast. Yeah. So that would be that. The other question I saw someone asked me, and I really did want to try to find this one. She actually started it with my name. It was about the dang it, I'm trying to find it. Oh,
it wasn't this one, right? It wasn't this one from Diego, right?
No, Diego's awesome though.
Here's another one. Thanks, Diego.
Yeah, I love it. I love the positive feedback. Someone asked about when I was talking about the audio, like the podcasting and the live. There it is. I found it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Let me keep looking. Sorry. You find a question while I find that one.
Sure. I do want to answer Inda Kizi Apollinare's question. They were asking about moving banners where you want them. So right now everything is static. So basically the banners show up in the predetermined spots. Let's see.
I found it. Jeez, my goodness. Okay. Carol says, when, do you adapt your podcast from a live, then strip out the audio for your podcast? So again,
I can talk about this too. Yeah, let's cover this one.
Yeah, a feature I love of StreamYard is you can actually export the audio after you go live. So an example of this would be, so there's a couple of things I do, Carol, when it comes to this. Sometimes I approach a live video, the content that I'm going to share, I approach it knowing this topic is going to be great for my podcast. Okay. So I will actually approach that live broadcast that I do, and I'll know I'm probably going to be repurposing it. If I approach a piece of content that way, what I will do is I will probably tell my live audience, I'll probably say, hey, this is actually, I can't wait to talk to you about this, cool thing, this new feature, this new strategy. I'm actually doing a live recording for my podcast as well. And I will do a little less engagement during the meat and the bones of my content. And that just simplifies the editing process if I wanted to edit those pieces out. But what I do is I will trim out all the fluff. So I will just pull out the meaty part of that audio from that live broadcast, and then I will create an intro for my podcast, and I will say, I always say this, hey, this is actually a live video I did inside of my Facebook group a couple weeks ago. I thought, I really wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys today, so I hope that you enjoy this conversation I had with my Facebook group, blah, blah, blah. And then I do that because the audio is always going to be a little different. And also because I might do a little bit of engagement during that they may hear me engaging my live viewers. And I want my podcast audience to understand, wait, why is she talking to Carol answering a question? Like, this is a podcast, right? Again, I don't want to mislead my audience. This whole not misleading your audience goes everywhere. And so I want to make sure my podcast audience knows, hey, this is actually repurposed audio from a live video I did. Now, the other scenario is going to be if you happen to have a live broadcast and you're like, that was so freaking great, I definitely want to put that on my podcast, then yes, you can take that audio out. And if you want to edit it, you can and repurpose it. So, but I do love how StreamYard allows me to just download the MP3 file. It makes my life so much easier. I don't have to do any stripping or anything like that.
Yeah. And that's the same thing. Like, for example, about adapting a podcast from a live, I do the same thing. For example, if I tend to, again, and I like your comment you made earlier, Mel, it's about how you approach what you're doing. So for example, if you're just doing an audio podcast or it's an episode that is just for audio, for example, then like, let's use this example. Let's say Mel and I were recording something. I would then be recording directly into like an audio mixer or an interface, for example, right there.
That's because you're fancy.
We'd be able to like actually, kind of see one another. So we kind of understand, okay, well, what's this cue? What's that cue? So that's typically how I would do that. But if it is something that I'm like, well, hey, that is good for live, I will go live. And then I just have to remember to hit the record button to record it directly if I want to use like an audio interface, or I could just download it directly from the StreamYard dashboard if I've got the individual audio track option on. So again, I think we take similar approaches to things.
Yeah, I think we do too. We're a good little team, I think, right?
Definitely.
Man, so many questions. Like seriously, I'm like looking.
Let's take a few more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we should. While you're pulling up a question, let me do a little. We'll do a little refresh here. So just so everybody knows, I can't find that comment to take it away. Take it away. There it goes. Okay. Y'all, if you're just joining, this is actually the Ask StreamYard show. And what we're talking about today is the question was asked, should we use this pre-recorded feature? So StreamYard now has a feature for you where you can actually stream pre-recorded videos, whether it be an old live stream inside your studio or a video that you upload to StreamYard. And so we're talking about the scenarios about when this might be something you should consider. And we're talking about a lot of scenarios about when you should maybe not use this. So we're being very cautious because we want you to use this feature very sparingly. We do not want you to overuse it. We also don't want you to let this become a crutch and you avoiding live video because you're trying to be perfect. And so this is the Ask StreamYard show. One of our community members did ask the question. In fact, Lestat was the one. He's like, why should we really even use this? Like, what is the deal? So that's what we've been talking about today. So if you have questions related to that, we definitely have a little bit more time. We can try to get to your question, but I definitely want to make sure that we also take care of everybody else that we have here. Now, before we go too much further, I know that the scenarios we gave you were, hey, you're on vacation, you're unavailable, the timing, it doesn't work for your guest. Maybe you're interviewing a guest and they can't show up when you want to be live, right? The other scenarios we talked about where maybe there's some types of content that makes more sense to be edited and clipped out in, different scenarios. Now, the other thing that also could come into play here is actually that you want to repurpose something that's old. And we didn't cover this a lot. So I actually think that this feature makes it kind of fun for you to repurpose something that you did before. So let's say you did an interview 6 months ago or you did a stream about something very specific and maybe it's a seasonal thing. And here we are at that season again. Instead of streaming the content again, you could actually just repurpose the old stream. And so I actually like this whole repurposing concept as well. This is a scenario that I can get behind, again, if it's not overused. Now, the other thing I like is you could actually, if you have been creating lots of live video and you have lots of live content out there, you could actually start to have a little fun. Maybe once a month, you do like a Flashback Friday. And it's just, hey, here's an oldie but a goodie. And some of your audience members might remember that, especially if you are a little bit more, your streams are a bit on the entertaining factor or the entertaining side. You could pull that back up. If we think about when we watched our favorite TV shows, how many times have you watched a rerun? You've watched reruns before. So think of this as like a rerun. And so that's kind of a scenario that I can also get behind, is you pulling something that was really awesome and valuable before and just simply resharing it with your audience. You could do it as an actual live stream by using this streaming a pre-recorded video feature. So we didn't really touch on that too much. And I kind of wanted to kind of like talk about that one because I do think that's one that our users can have a lot of fun with when they use this feature.
Definitely, yeah. And we got so many good questions from people. I want to make sure we hit some of these questions. So this kind of, I think, ties into what you're just saying. So Raymond Matthews says, if I do a morning show, is it good to do a noon show to promote?
I think this is a different scenario. I think that you're using one live video to promote another live video. And I think that I actually like it. I think it's great. I think it's fun. I don't necessarily think that it fits this the streaming pre-recorded video thing though.
Now, what you could conceivably do though, is you could do essentially the sunset model as well. So for example, if you are doing a morning show, you could, again, this essentially would create duplicate streams, but you could do the live show and then you could actually re-air the live as a pre-record like later on, for example. So for example, if you're sleeping, again, you want to make sure you cover all 24 hours. You could have it available and then you could basically reshare that same episode as a pre-record, but make sure you disclose it's a pre-record. So does it make sense, Mel?
It does make sense.
Okay, so a couple other ones. This one's from Eric. What are your thoughts on telling your audience that it's a pre-recorded video versus letting it appear to being live? I think we know the answer here, but Mel, take this one away.
Heck yes, you've got to let them know. You definitely want to let them know.
Yeah.
And I know this has come up a lot. I think that I am going to tell you till I'm, again, blue in the face here. You cannot mislead your audience. You should never mislead your audience. And I don't think that Eric, I don't think most people would try to do this maliciously, right? They're just wondering, like, do I need to tell them, like, or can I just use the feature and go with it? I do think you've got to find a way. You need to make sure the description probably states it. That's definitely going to protect you. It's also going to protect you from the platform. So we said earlier that LinkedIn is probably the only one that's really kind of come out and said that it's not allowed, but they really haven't even fully said it's not allowed. They use the word it's discouraged to stream pre-recorded videos. Facebook and YouTube, in their terms, they basically say something very similar. They all say you cannot mislead your audience. You need to disclose that it's pre-recorded. So even their terms are telling us we need to do it. The best way to protect yourself, put it in the description of your stream, and then find a way to say it. So if you're using the StreamYard Studio to create your pre-recorded video, we talked about earlier, an idea would be to have either a watermark, an overlay that you've added to your stream, or use the ticker at the bottom and pull that up every once in a while throughout the recorded video that this is previously recorded. Or you could do a post-production edit. So if you have some other video you've done, do a post-production edit and add some sort of overlay to that video, like a little watermark. Christian and I have definitely talked about, and I know that the feature requests I was supported by, I saw at least 5 or 6 people say, yes, please make it where StreamYard gives us an option to add maybe that watermark to a streamed pre-recorded video. So hopefully, we can get that feature put into the feature requests, and Dan and Gage can kind of check that out and decide if they want to do that. So, but yeah, that's my thought.
Okay, so another question from Susan Cord here. She says, do you have to click go live for a pre-recorded video or just schedule it and go? So answer here would be to just schedule it and go. So basically, you go in to create a broadcast, and if you click create a broadcast, it's going to be essentially live, or you can just say record only. If you want to go with the scheduling, the pre-recorded scheduling of a live, you use the second option.
Yep.
So that's all you're going to have to do there. By the way, also, I came across this fantastic comment from Kathleen Stockdale, and she's saying, I really want my audience to converse more with each other instead of just with me. So maybe this could encourage more of that if I'm not always there, kind of like when the teacher walks out of the room and the kids start chatting. I love this.
Yeah.
Again, going back to, if you're going to do something like this, just make sure you let people know, hey guys, I'm not here today. I wanted to give you all time to chat amongst yourself, etc., and just kind of see where it goes. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, I like this idea a lot, actually. And I think it's something that is definitely worth testing. I definitely think that, try it out, see what your audience thinks, see if it gets you what you're wanting. But Kathleen, again, approach whatever the video is that you're going to use this for, approach it with that goal in mind. And as Christian just said, address your audience, kind of get them to be doing that with each other, right? So I do think that this is ultimately it is a really fun thing when you are live and your audience is building a relationship with each other. And then also they start talking to each other and answering each other's questions. I love that when that happens. And so I do think that you can foster that. What I will say, Kathleen, is that if you can approach your live videos with that goal in mind, then be encouraging it. And then as you're live, when you're actually doing a live broadcast and you see that happening, reward them. Reward them by saying, oh, I really love how, Diego is helping Candy with her question. You guys are so awesome. Like, pull the comment up, display it, reward Diego for answering Candy's question, whatnot. When you can acknowledge what your audience is doing, you're rewarding them and they're naturally going to want to keep doing it. And so again, that goes back to just you supporting the engagement, you kind of steering the culture of your actual live viewers. I do think that this pre-recorded thing could be a way to do it, but I also think that you are actually going to have a much more powerful way if you are actually live with them, encouraging them to do it and then rewarding them for doing it because you are on screen and able to address that. So, I love the idea, but again, I could probably sit here and make an argument for people being live all the time, but I'm just saying. I definitely think it's worth it. It's worth trying for sure, and I think it could absolutely get you the result you want. Christian, if you don't have anything else to say about that, let's go back to the question we got a couple times because I have it ready now.
Yeah, sure.
And so I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
And
what was the question?
I'm never gonna be able to find it because we have so many great comments here.
Okay.
But this was the question of, hey, what happens if it's scheduled? Can I then go in and edit it?
Okay.
And so if we go back to check status, earlier I didn't have an announcement. But this time I made an announcement.
Okay. Got it.
And as you see here, it's going to say view on YouTube.
Okay, let's put that
full
screen. Here we go.
I'm going to say view, and it's going to pull this up. All right. So I added a thumbnail this time. I called it test. Called it test, right? So my audience, I did not do unlisted this time. So my audience they've seen this. Like if they have notification set, they got the notification. Now, the question is can we edit it? So let's just see what we got here. So we're going to click edit. Because someone asked.
You should be able to,
it's going to let me edit everything.
Yeah. So you can add so at this point, what Mel's showing is she has a scheduled live stream, right?
Yep.
And so she's able to go back and make the edits on the YouTube channel, for example, which was the destination she selected. So she can go and add if she realized, hey, she had maybe she forgot to add the description or she put the wrong description and she can add that. She could change the thumbnail specific to that. She could then go in and add tags, for example, to help YouTube understand more about it. The video she's sharing as well. So, and she could get that all important link there on the right as well if she wants to share that with people.
Right. And that was the question earlier is, hey, will there be a link? And so again, as long as you do the announcement, you must have the announcement and then it will create a post and then you can then go in and edit that as well. I'm curious if that edit comes through StreamYard. Again, this is such a new feature that it's one of those things where I'm like, how's this working? It doesn't look like those edits I made over on YouTube came back. They didn't come back through into StreamYard because I made those edits directly on, but it did go through. I was curious. I was like, is it going to save? And it did. It did save those edited items. So there you go. There's the answer to that one.
Definitely. Yeah. And so let me see if there's any other good questions in here. I got to say, this is a great topic and I just love all the questions we're getting.
I knew it was going to be juicy. So. And again, I'm glad that when I texted you at 10 o'clock, an hour before I was going live, I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be a juicy one. We're going to get lots of questions. So would you like to join me? I was so thankful that you said yes. So.
Oh, anytime. Let's see. So I'm just reading through a couple of these, by the way. So have you found any other good comments, Mel?
I saw I did. And I'm actually Antiques from Karen.
Okay.
Also looks like known as Janet. She wants that watermark option for sure. So another vote up for the watermark. I know that somebody had a question. I think she actually had a question earlier, but oh my goodness. So many great comments, you guys. Flowchart.
Actually, here's a question from Candy, and actually maybe you can demo this.
Okay.
So she's asking about changing the color of her ticker to put this as pre-recorded. She wants to see if there's a way to change the color.
For the ticker? Well, yes, Candy, of course there is. Okay, so if we are, hold on, I want to make sure I'm actually understand. So I just tried to change the color of my ticker to put this is pre-recorded message, and there's no option to change the color. Okay, so Candy, I'm going into, oh, I entered my studio twice. Sorry. Somehow I'm in my demo twice.
Open up an incognito window, I think.
No, I don't want to do that because I have to log in. Hold on. It's because I have it open already. I'm already open. Okay, so add to stream. All right, so Candy, if you're in your studio, right? Hi, you're in here. You notice that we have the purple color down here. If I go over here to brand, okay, up here where we see brand color, you can make this whatever you want. That color change will go through to, you know, when you display comments, when you have your banners up, your tickers, and your name. So I'm going to change this color to, we'll make it a little pink. So as you notice, it changed that. It is also going to change your banners and your tickers as well. So that's actually how you change the color of those items. So if you have a banner, this is previously recorded, and you want to make it a ticker, then you'll notice there it is. So you actually, when you change the brand color, that carries over to not only the way the comment looks. So if you notice the pink here, it also carries over to the branding and the banners and the tickers as well. So there you go.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is, man, just so many good, I got to say, I'm elated at all the great questions that we're getting from people. So let's see if there's anything else here. So Mark, yes, I got your note as well about, that's also a good idea. Pre-recorded logo instead of the live. So that's another option, by the way, you could do. So for example, the live feature that actually, I'm pretty sure that has to be there, and that's based off the platform. So for example, over on, every platform pretty much, they put live, for example, on screen. They want people to know that it is live. When you're using the pre-recorded live, it's actually a live video. So it wouldn't say pre-recorded in that case. However, what you could also do if you're using, for example, an easy way is on the right-hand side in your logo section, you could add a pre-recorded option there in the logo on the far right, because that's actually that position for the logo.
Yes, as long as you're on a paid plan. So if you're on the free plan, then you're going to see, powered by StreamYard is going to be always, that watermark's always going to be in your broadcast.
Absolutely. Let's see if there's any other good questions here. Let's see.
This is while you're looking for something, I want to address Carol here again, but you can find us at our next question. So she says, podcasting, maybe I could go live after the podcast is going live. Yes, I actually am a firm believer that if you have a podcast and you have that, you can I always say this, live video and podcasting, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. I really just think that your audience is hearing you and they're hearing your voice. Live video, they're seeing your face, but you can absolutely use live video to promote and drive traffic to your podcast. I know this is something I do often. So anytime, maybe even you just recorded a podcast episode, you could go live and be like, I'm so excited about the episode I just did, yada, yada, yada. So I do think that using live video is a great way to promote your podcast. So, and when you are repurposing that content, like we talked about earlier, Carol, again, your audience is just used to those two types of media formats from you. And the reason I love repurposing is because not everybody who listens to your podcast wants to watch videos. Not everybody who loves to tune in live and watch your live videos wants to listen to podcasts. And so you're actually able to serve people and let them consume the content from you in the way that they want to the most.
And so I've got a couple other really good questions here, by the way. So I want to bring Toya's question up. She says, our guests did not show up and this is want to position this first. This is a scenario when you might want to use pre-recorded live content. So our guest did not show up for our show yesterday. Was so helpful to be able to schedule a previous show in StreamYard. Like that in itself right there is, kind of something you need to plan for as well. So of course you don't know if the guest is going to show up. Guests cancel all the time. However, if you kind of try to think ahead in your business. So for example, if maybe you have, like I said, a couple of topics in the hopper. So a couple of topics that you've already pre-recorded in the off chance that somebody cannot make it. And then it's super easy to change that out. You just go and, pre-schedule your live and then, obviously go live with that pre-recorded content. So
I actually think that's I love that scenario. That's an example that we should add to our arsenal of examples, because that is one I can 100% support as well. And that happens. Or the other thing we talked about, internet. This has happened to me where, like, right before I go live, I lost power, or something like the lawn guy came, or just if something happens, like you talked about, life happens, but what if systematically something breaks where you can't get something to work or function correctly, so you're not able to go live? You guys, you can actually literally, as long as you could go to grab your phone and open up StreamYard on your phone, and I guess I should probably make sure before I say this. Let me just make sure before again, this feature's so new, I haven't played around with it enough. Do you know, it's available on our mobile.
Let me actually see something actually. So
I'm checking right now. I was just saying you could do exactly what Toya said. Go to create a broadcast and just right here, because your power's out, but you still have your phone and internet.
You could just hotspot, actually. That's what I would do. If it were me, I would hotspot off my phone and use my laptop or my desktop.
But if you don't have, if you have a laptop like my laptop, and the camera is like worth 5 cents because it's that crappy, I would not do that. But I guess if you're fancy pants and you have a really great one, I guess. I don't know. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't do it for my laptop because my laptop camera sucks so bad.
So I'd say, I think that, again, that's something worth testing. But again, that's a scenario when I would use this for sure. If you've got a guest, if you've got, if your internet does go down, for example, or things like that. Again, just kind of like sometimes life happens. So for example, if you do happen to, if you happen to have, like, maybe your power gets cut or your internet goes down or there's some sort of blip or whatever that does happen. Again, if you don't know about it, I mean, it's easy to just also go and just cancel the stream if you need to. People do understand, by the way. That's the other thing. I think we create some of that artificial pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
That, it's going to be perfect. Like, it's got to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the key thing I think we want to drive home.
Totally
doesn't
agree.
have to be perfect.
I just confirmed it is available as an option. Awesome. Yes, cool. On mobile. So you can do this on mobile.
Speaking of, by the way, there's another good question here as well. Let me actually find it. And they're asking about the size of files. So for example, let me find it. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so Ruth is asking, in streaming pre-recorded videos, is there a limit size or time? Like, for example, premiering on Facebook only has 10 gigabytes max. So we have the 10 gigabyte max as well. So again, that's because, again, you're hooking into platforms. So 10 gigabytes, your videos can be up to 1 hour long on the basic plan, 2 hours long on the professional plan. So that's something to keep in mind. And then you can schedule up to, this is another good feature as well. So if you have multiple, say you're using your StreamYard dashboard for multiple shows, you can schedule up to 5 pre-recorded streams at once. But again, 5 pre-recorded streams, but the videos have to be 1 hour long or 2 hours, etc. I will say this also, by the way. So if you're thinking, well, hey, 1 hour is not enough time, part of it is look at your analytics. So see, if I'm going live for like an hour and a half, are people still tuning in for that full hour and a half? Maybe I could shorten my show. The other thing is I like the actual bookend of that. So if I have 1 hour of time for a pre-recorded stream, it also then, I kind of want to say, like, it forces you to be very succinct with your show versus letting it just kind of go and ramble on the whole time. So if you only have 1 hour of content, let's make it 50 or 55 minutes, for example, and the off chance we do run over by a couple of minutes. So I try to also, fit within that container versus trying to make it really long when it doesn't necessarily need to be long.
Right.
And then someone also asked, how far in advance can you schedule that? You can schedule up to 2 weeks in advance. So again, something to kind of keep in mind. And remember, that's a rolling 2 weeks. So you could schedule right now for up to 2 weeks in advance. And then the following week, you could schedule further out and further out and further out. So
yeah. Hey, I want to answer this question, or at least address it, because I did see, Roger, I saw you posted this earlier, so thank you for posting that again. He is wondering, like, and I think he's right. I think this may be something that, again, it's a new feature. It either is, there's a limitation with the platforms, which is why this doesn't work, or it could just be maybe a little bug. That happens sometimes, so we'll definitely make sure that we flag this so that our development team can check on it. But it did look like when I made that first one, I created it, I scheduled when I wanted it to go live. I did not schedule an announcement post. And then when I went back into that stream and I went to edit it, it did not let me click on schedule announcement. So there is either a limitation with the platforms that blocks that, or it could be just a tiny little bug that we could address where, hey, I want to go ahead and set this stream up, but I don't have my announcement details yet. So you want to go back and edit it and add that announcement post. It looked like, Roger, it would not let me at the time. So you're right, it doesn't, but I would say keep your eyes on that. I bet you that will change. So that's probably just one of those little things that kind of fell through. I also saw that somebody said, is there an ETA on Teams? Man, Christian, some of these people are very good with their eyes, and they saw that I might have a little bit of an early access to something that everyone is very excited about. So I know that I keep hearing that Teams is like, I know Julie said, she goes,
almost, I think.
She said, she goes, you guys, summer is technically over September 21st. And I know that because the kids are going back to school, we all feel like summer's over. But I know that Julie said on our office hours yesterday, she said very soon. So I know I'm excited about it. I know Mike from Never Let the Machines Win. I know he's excited about it. But I know that is definitely coming very, very soon. So this is an unrelated question, but it's an easy one to answer. So Barb says, I'm new to StreamYard and I wanted to know if I need to do anything special to live stream on YouTube. You don't have to do anything special. You essentially need to have a YouTube channel, and then you have to go into your settings and essentially say that you want to turn on live streaming. I think it takes 24 hours before you can create your first stream. Once you do that, Barb, then you actually just go into your StreamYard studio or your dashboard, add YouTube as a destination, and you're ready to rock and roll, sister. So I think it's exciting, but no, you don't have to do anything special. So everybody should have access to live streaming on YouTube.
No. And so speaking of that whole, Teams question that people did have questions about, I think we do have an event coming up as well, by the way.
We do. Oh.
Yeah. So we got that event and you can register for it here.
Going to put the link in our comments for us.
Yeah, it's in the comments.
Perfect.
And what's so cool about this event, by the way, Mel?
Oh my gosh. Well, let me just I'm going to go to the event page, because what better way to feature what's going on here than to just show you guys. Here's the deal. This is actually an event where we have all kinds of guests. We have speakers. It's a virtual event. So you don't have to go anywhere. You have to travel anywhere. It's also free. Okay. Yeah. So again, I still always say StreamYard is one of the most generous applications out there. Not only do you get amazing features in your free account if you're on the free plan, but these summits that they're doing are so awesome. So it's virtual. And as you can see, we've got Gary Vaynerchuk is our opening keynote. I am so excited about this. I am going to be actually co-hosting this event with Dana. We are going to be kind of co-EMCing this event. So I'm so excited because Gary first, came on. He's like, hey, we've got this presentation that and then he came back and said, I'm going to cut my presentation a little bit shorter so I can do live Q&A. So Gary's actually going to be answering questions. So an amazing opportunity for you guys if you want to try to ask Gary a question. I love live Q&A. I think that whenever I watch Gary do live Q&As in any of his content, it's, in my opinion, when he really drops the true bombs of knowledge, and I love it. So super excited that he's going to be our opening keynote. We're going to be hearing from Dage and Gan.
Dage again.
Dage again. We're going to be hearing from Gage and Dan as well. So you're going to hear some stuff going on with StreamYard. So it's going to be some exciting news. And then look at this lineup of other speakers that we have. We also have Megan Finnerty. We have Evan Roberts. We've got Tiffany Lee Bymaster. I'm excited about that. She's a good friend of mine. She's going to be talking about, leveling up your live videos as well and branding. We have Troy and Julie, I believe, together are going to be talking about community. There's a lot going on. But here's the other thing. This is the first time StreamYard has done this. There is actually also going to be Portuguese and Spanish speakers as well. So I know that the event team has been working really hard to be able to offer a multilingual event. So you're going to have the main stage, of course, but then you're going to have these breakout sessions. So you will just simply pick the language and the sessions that you want to go to. So you have an English option, you have a Portuguese option, and a Spanish option to go learn about leveling up your live videos. We're going to be talking about branding, we're going to be talking about tech, and we're going to be talking about community building. So there's a lot going on in this event. And again, the theme is leveling up. So whether you're just getting started in live streaming or you are already live streaming, you will absolutely walk away with advice and how you can finish the year strong and take your live videos to the next level. Because here's the thing, everything about live video that we're doing is all about reaching your goals. Those goals could be about, finding a new audience. They could be about making money. It could be about making a difference in the world. Maybe you're a faith-based, live stream and you want to just share your message with the world. Maybe you're trying to share basketball games because people all over the country want to see these games and they can't come and you want to show them. There's so many amazing things, but we all have goals and we all want to be leveling up because we want to be able to share those gifts with the world. So this event is all about that. It's going to help you guys do that. So super excited about it. Definitely super honored to be a part of the event this time, getting to co-host with Dana. Pretty pumped about it. And I can't wait. It's next Thursday, the 26th. Thursday, yeah. So again, get registered. And I know Julie said that for anyone that's registered and showing up live, there's going to be they're going to be doing some digital swag. So there's going to be some things. So if you're registered for this event, then you're also going to be getting a digital swag bag. So, there's some fun stuff that I know StreamYard's been working on, and I'm not even necessarily privy to all the things in that swag bag, but you're going to get
it's pretty awesome. I know
you get to listen to all these amazing speakers for free in your pajamas if you want, and you're going to get free stuff. So I definitely think that that's a great incentive for you to come to this event. Now, I want to say this before I stop talking about the event. I'm really passionate to get people to understand, yes, you can register for the event and it's digital and it's virtual and you might be multitasking. Put this in your calendar and show up live, because not only are you going to be able to have an opportunity to ask these presenters questions, we are going to be pulling questions from the audience and asking these presenters these questions. So your question may get featured, but also this is going to be inside the Hopin platform, which I love that platform. You can actually network with other virtual attendees. You can connect with people. You can actually start conversations with them. So just like a normal event where you would attend and you show up live, or you're there in person and you meet people, you can do the same thing. The Hopin platform, the way it works, it actually allows you to do that. So a lot of really great reasons and incentives for you to show up live and just be focused and be there. So I'm really excited about it. Pretty stoked about it. Can't wait. It's going to be a fun event.
It is, yeah. And I just want to answer a question real quick from Greg here. Greg's asking, is it West Coast time? So it's 11:45 to 3:45. That's Eastern time. So I think for you it would be, what's that, 8:45? I think in the morning.
It is actually Eastern time. So the time's listed 11:45 Eastern.
Yeah.
California is Pacific, right?
Right.
So yeah,
so it'd be 3 hours earlier. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 8:45.
Yes.
So it'd be in the morning for you, Greg. So yeah, definitely.
We got people getting registered. Look at that.
This is what
love
I like to see.
Free swag. Yes. Love it. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, Christian, I don't know about you. We just broke the record for longest Ask StreamYard show.
I think we did actually. Yes.
It is what it is, right? So But hey, so just so you guys know, this show is actually every single Wednesday. So it's every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. We don't always go 2 hours, but man, I knew today was going to be a big one. I knew it was. So
Definitely.
again, lots to talk about with today's conversation. If you have additional questions about pre-recorded videos, go into our Facebook group. If you're not part of that group, definitely join our community. All you have to do is search StreamYard on Facebook, and that community will show up. So join it, because actually twice a month, Julie Riley and I do what we call office hours. So if you have additional questions about this feature, use the hashtag ask, put it in there. Julie will probably find it. We can also address the questions in the comments and support you. That's what the whole point of that community is. And back to what one of our users said earlier, getting people to talk with each other and work with each other. That's actually one of my favorite things about the community is people post questions. I know Candy posted a question the other day, or posted a comment the other day, and she had a question about using multiple cameras, and just the comments, people were just helping her out, right? And so I see that all the time. And that's one of the best parts about the community is how our users jump in and support each other, help each other. And there's a lot of leveling up going on in that community too. So people are learning all kinds of things. So make sure you join the community for sure. If you want to be featured, if you want your question to get featured, here's what I will tell you. Here's the tip. Ask a juicy question. Give us a good beefy question, that's deep, that's, like we can take a deep dive on. Strategy questions. I know I personally love the strategy questions. I know we like to talk about tech things, leveling up in the tech space and all those things too. So, but use the hashtag Ask StreamYard. That will actually help us look at it and know that you want your question to be featured. You also want a free t-shirt to get sent to you if we choose your question to get featured. And so definitely do that and use that hashtag when you want to post one of those. And we add it to our list. And if we feel that it's a good one, a good fit, and it's juicy and people will benefit from us taking a deep dive on it, then we just might feature you on one of these upcoming shows. So the next episode is the 25th. So that's next Wednesday. Mark your calendars. I know that Kevin is going to be talking about that show. I forgot to look and see what he's going to be talking about. So I'm about to do that right now. Because I forgot to look earlier.
While Mel's looking that up, I just wanted to let you know, you can use hashtag Ask StreamYard on any of your social media platforms. So if you're on Facebook, for example, you're in the Facebook group. If you're on Twitter, you can use that hashtag, and then that'll help us surface your questions. So
next week, you guys, talk about a juicy topic. It's all about shorter versus longer streams, which is better. And we talked about this a little bit today. So I know that this is absolutely a question that people ask all the time, and it comes up a lot. So Kevin is going to be taking a deep dive on how to determine what is a good length of time for your streams, shorter versus longer. I know he's going to give you all kinds of scenarios, because here's the deal. The answer, it depends. So it's definitely one of those ones. There's no formula. There's no quick, easy cookie cutter answer. So you'll definitely learn a lot on next week's show with Kevin when he talks about longer versus shorter streams. So make sure you tune into that. So, all right. Well, Christian, anything else from you? Anything else that you want to say before we sign off?
No, I just want to say this has just been an amazing episode, just talking about, pre-recorded live streams. Again, I mean, I think the one thing I would say, and again, I think, Mel, you're going to echo the same sentiment, is if you're going to do any sort of pre-recorded streaming, disclose upfront that it's pre-recorded, and when you're going to be, for example, coming back, and use it sparingly. It's not one of those features where you want to use it for everything. You still want to mix live streams. You want to use pre-recorded video and so forth. How about you, Mel?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And just going back to what we said also, the last thing I just simply want to say is, don't let it be a crutch. I still want you going live. I still want you showing up live for your audience. The powerful things that happen when you are literally live with your audience is incredible. I know that I've seen amazing results. We've seen so many people see amazing results. So don't use this feature as a crutch to not go live, meaning you show up live on camera with your audience. And also consider the video share. I know I preached about that quite a bit too. If you're thinking about using this feature, then also think about using the video share feature instead, because it lets you do a little bit of both. You're showing up live, but you're also using pre-recorded video, which may be a way to ease into some of the things that you're trying to do. So I love this feature for the what it gives us. It gives us an opportunity to continue to show up when we can't live, but it lets us do that. But at the same time, I'm still going to be a huge advocate for you being live as much as possible. So just like you said, Christian, about using it sparingly. So, all right. Well, with that being said, I should probably go eat something, and I'm sure you should too, because the 2-hour stream is one of those. It's fun, but It's lunchtime and I'm ready to go eat. So Christian, until next time, right? I will see you soon. And everybody else, don't forget to get registered for our event, and we'll see you next Wednesday. And if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do, because we are live all the time, but also there's all kinds of awesome videos that get put up on that channel. And so make sure you're subscribed and you click get notified so that you don't miss that content when it comes up. Because Christian, I know that you work really hard with a lot of content creators to help provide tips and tutorials for our users. And so make sure that you all are subscribed to the YouTube channel and check out the blog that we have as well, because Christian's working hard every day, all day long, some days, to make those things happen. So I would want to make sure that you all know about that. All right, everybody. Well, until next time, we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.